Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Andrew Duffel, president of the Research Park at Florida Atlantic University. Andrew leads a powerhouse of innovation, entrepreneurship, and community impact right here in South Florida. His work is helping to shape the future of our region in ways most people don't even realize.
Welcome, Andrew. Welcome to the Digital Mayors Podcast. We are excited to have you here today. And we first, I'm putting in quotes, met during Leadership Boca when Economic Development Day, we went to the Research Park at FAU, and we got sort of an inside look at what you guys do and what the park does. And I have to say, things like visiting Instrumentum was eye-opening and mind-blowing. I also had the pleasure of attending the Boca Chambers ribbon cutting for THEMA Brain Health, which, again, crazy that it's amazing what they do. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what makes the Research Park so unique and the kind of impact that you're having.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited, and your introduction energized me even more.
Great.
That was all me.
To keep going.
It was all my brother.
It's a really exciting place to work every day, and I'm privileged to be able to tell the story to the rest of the community. So, and we're very privileged to be able to be part of Leadership Boca every year to welcome a class in and sort of give them that behind-the-scenes look at what's going on. Just a snapshot, because it is, I counted yesterday, we have 39 companies right now.
Wow.
12 of them are from overseas. We've got companies from Colombia, Brazil, Israel, Turkey, all over.
Wow, it's amazing.
So we're trying to bring, in terms of the foreign companies, we're trying to bring new ideas to the U.S. And their capital, and they're expanding, not relocating from their home countries. We want a win-win for everybody.
Right.
And in the process of doing that expansion, the companies hire people who live in South Florida already, rather than transplanting
So
people.
win-win.
It's a win-win. Of course, being affiliated and next to the university, we're anxious and eager to make sure that there are employment opportunities for students from FAU, and then to plug the companies into the university so that they can really take advantage of the resources the university has in research, as well as its equipment, and then, of course, the students as well. And in return, the companies share their real-world knowledge and insights from technology to the faculty to inform their research and to inform their curriculum, so that the students are really learning what's needed in industry. So it really is a win-win for everybody. And so that the impact we're having is obviously measured in terms of new jobs. It's measured in terms of economic activity added to our GDP or regional product. And that measures in the hundreds of millions of dollars every year. We're about to do another analysis of that impact to give a precise figure next year. We'll do that study next month. And we like to share that information because it's easily digestible. It's things that people are used to dealing with and thinking about in everyday life. However, the overall longer-term impact, I think, is even greater. The new production of patents and the intellectual capital that adds to our economy is priceless. The kinds of research opportunities students get and the visibility they get into cutting-edge companies, as well as the potential inspiration to become entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to improve not only the economic life of the community, but the knowledge of the community, so that the economy becomes more diverse, more resilient to recessions and other impacts, so that as a community we continue to grow, be a better place to live and bring up your family.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Now, I want to go, and I kind of have a two-part question for you. So first, let's bring it back. And so the first one is what drew you to this line of work, right? You didn't you didn't grow up and say, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do when I grow up."
Not many people do.
No.
Right. And then the second part is, what's the most fulfilling part of what you do?
Good question.
So how did you get there, and basically what's the best part of it?
I stumbled into economic development in general. When I first came to this country, I was living in Miami with my wife. That's where she's from.
And you came from where?
I came directly from Spain,
Okay.
but I'm English.
Okay.
And my first job once I got a work permit in this country was to help graduates from the federal Job Corps program get meaningful jobs.
Mm.
We decided to move to Atlanta, and again, I stumbled into economic development by looking for other British people to hang out with and play soccer.
Right.
And the recruiter I met told me about a job opening, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
economic development, and the rest is history. When I got to Palm Beach County in 2005, again, it was in economic development for the Business Development Board. I was presenting Palm Beach County to the tech community around the world as it is.
Right.
And that was great because we have a great product.
Right.
However, I felt that I would be more fulfilled shaping what that product looks like
Right.
so that it was even better and even more appealing to the rest of the business community by being at the research part.
Right.
So when that opportunity opened up in end of 2010, I jumped on it and was able to get that position at the beginning of 2011.
Wow.
The most fulfilling thing for me is very similar to what I used to say at the BDB, is that I don't necessarily do what I do altruistically. I'm trying to make a better community for my kids to grow up and have
Selfishly.
jobs in.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's what is fulfilling to me. But seeing or hearing the stories of entrepreneurs and how they came up with their ideas that are usually very simple, that can dramatically change the consumer's experience,
Right.
is inspirational. And then seeing them actually put it into motion and seeing that consumer pain point be relieved is incredibly fulfilling. And to be able to do that over and over again with multiple companies and impacting student lives is,
Right.
is extremely rewarding every day.
Yeah, I get that. And listen, selfishly, one of the reasons we do this podcast is selfishly, right? Because we want to learn more about our community. We want to learn more about where we live. Like we talked about Leadership Boca. I've been in Florida now, I think we're at 22 years. I think you've been 21 years. And I loved living here in Boca. And going through Leadership Boca made me love it even more, right? Selfishly, I want my community to be a better place.
I can't wait to do it. I'm hoping to get the call yesterday that I made it
Yeah.
for to do Leadership Boca next year.
You'll get
I'm
it.
so excited about
You'll
it.
get it. So Andrew, let me ask, what initiatives or projects are you most excited about right now that you're seeing in the park?
Global Ventures is our incubator, but it's not a traditional incubator helping very, very early stage startups. We focus on what we call second stage companies, those that have already proven their product, have it in the market, and employ people. We take them from that 6-person, $1 million range into the tens of millions of dollars and dozens of employees. So that's really exciting. We've been doing that 4 years now. We're looking now to really solidify the progress that we've made and supercharge it for the next stage of growth. And then, in part to fulfill that strategy, we're engaged with Baptist Health of South Florida and the Startup Central in Israel to take South Florida healthcare challenges to Israeli tech entrepreneurs and ask them propose solutions for South Florida, this South Florida problem, and we will hopefully bring the finalists here to South Florida to have a pilot project with Baptist to actually put that project into motion and solve a problem at Baptist hospitals. And in the process of them doing that and becoming successful and validating the South Florida market for their own expansion, have them be part of Global Ventures to grow and do all the other things that we've just discussed. So that, for me, is very, very exciting. Israel has always been a target market for us because of its richness in
Right, the tech,
technology
yeah.
and its affinity to South Florida and direct access. To be able to do that and do it in a way that will have an immediate impact on healthcare in South Florida is very, very exciting. Of course, we've been working on this now over a year with everything that's going on in Israel, with the ongoing war that doesn't abate and is completely destructive and disruptive to everything. We're hoping to launch the challenge in January. However, the people we're working with in Startup Nation Central tell us things that we know. The Israeli entrepreneurs and the Israeli people are incredibly resilient, and if we cannot get there in person to do it, we'll do it virtually.
Right.
Right.
They're determined, and we're determined to help them. So that'll be coming up hopefully in the first half of next year.
That's amazing. I mean, you basically touched on my next question, which was asking about success stories locally, and that is potentially huge, right? I mean, healthcare is such a huge issue, not just here, but around the world, and whatever we can do to make it better and easier. Do you have any other success stories, something you'd like to share? Just get the word out.
We've got a number of really big success stories. The most well-known is Modernizing Medicine, or
Right.
ModMed as it's known
Huge,
now.
right?
Dan Kane, who's a product of the Palm Beach County school system.
Yeah, as a local kid.
Yep. He founded the company with his partner, Dr. Sherling, Michael Sherling, and grew it in the research park from about 10 people in 2011 until 2019, when they outgrew the park. They had at that point about 200 employees, and they were in 50,000 square feet, and that was the biggest space we had at the time. So they moved over to Brick,
to Brick.
still in town because of who they are, but
Right.
but also in part because of the connections we were able to help make for them at the university. So they wanted and needed to stay close to the university, to the point now that they're billing over $300 million a year. They're valued at well over $1 billion.
Amazing, right?
1,000+ employees. So that's a huge success story, impacting patient outcomes with doctors in South Florida and across the country.
Amazing. And how cool does it feel to be a part of that, right? I
Right.
mean, right, you can say, I helped. Yeah.
Right.
It's
I mean, you
very,
touched
very
that.
cool.
You helped form
It's
that.
very cool.
Right, you go home and your wife's like, you didn't do the dishes. Like, honey, let me tell you.
If only that worked.
No, by the way, I know that doesn't work, but that is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, there are stories like that. That's the best known. Another entrepreneur we have was an engineer at a company called US Biosystems years ago in the park. That company was acquired and moved to Utah, unfortunately. The engineer stayed here in Boca, decided to launch his own company with us, FlowSpine. We worked with him for years as a pure startup through second stage, and now he's moved into the park as his own standalone company. He's got 6 medical devices that have been approved just in the last few years by the FDA. Each of those products is named for a city or area of Florida.
Really?
Oh, cool.
And the company is FlowSpine for Florida spinal implants. And they're just continuing to do really well and having a huge impact on spinal implants and patient outcomes that way. Another one that isn't related to healthcare is very impressive. That company, Aerospace Technologies Group, has been with us in the park since 2010. A startup from Boynton Beach moved to us in the park, and has grown to now pushing 200 employees.
Wow.
They make the window shades for private aircraft, and now increasingly Boeing and Airbus commercial
That's
jets
probably a
as
good
well.
contract, right?
Right?
Incredibly, and of course, with anything in commercial aviation, those contracts are multi-year. They've recently launched a product called Airblade, which is now touch-based and it's very intuitive and adaptive to customer passenger comfort. But I read just the other day they've had, I think, close to 200,000 installs of their product on various aircraft around the
That's
world.
cool.
And they source and deal with contractors for more than 40% of their product in South Florida.
Really?
South
Very
Florida.
cool.
So they're here, but more importantly, their supply chain is
Right.
here too. So they really are supporting the whole economy.
That's phenomenal. And let me ask you, do you go out and find companies? Do they find you? Is it a combination of both? How does it work?
It's a little bit of both. Thankfully, with the network we have, both me personally and my staff, but more importantly, through the relationships we've been able to grow in large part through the chamber, we have a wide network, so word of mouth spreads, particularly when we do have great success stories. Those stories help a great deal. But my staff and I do a great deal of proactive outreach as well. Just the other day, I did some prospecting on LinkedIn, and I found a company in Norway that is doing work in an area of technology that the university has some technology to license.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to make a quick connection. That company got in touch with me right away after the outreach. We're meeting in a couple of weeks to really discuss how they will hopefully license the technology, do some research with the university, and land here in South Florida to continue that. So both practical, proactive outreach is incredibly important. It helps us bring the right companies here,
Yeah.
because we can go look for them
Right.
in the areas that FAU is strong, so that there's an immediate connection and plug into
And
the
resource.
university. Exactly.
And so let me ask you another question. Sorry,
No, you're good.
it's just coming to me. So when you find a company that you think is interesting, they're interested in you. It's not, a 30-minute talk and okay, you're in, we're
Right.
good.
What's that process,
What's the
yeah?
process like? How long does it take?
Well, if you've spoken to anyone in economic development from the region at BDB or anywhere else, you can hear that those projects take anywhere from 6 months to 3 years.
Right.
So they're very long term.
Yeah.
Because you're really building a relationship with that company and those executives, because they're going to make a very significant personal and professional investment if they're going to either move here or spend a considerable amount of time here
Right.
and money.
Right.
So it takes time.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to go to Norway in this particular case.
I'm so sorry.
It is actually on my bucket list. It's beautiful. They come here. They're actually here next week, but my team couldn't get to New Orleans where they'll be to meet with them. So there will be a lot of relationship building exercises, discussions with the university about specific areas of technology and work that they can do together, meeting people from the chamber and the rest of the business community to get firsthand testimonials, see neighborhoods where we might live, where our kids might go to school, what kind of cultural amenities are there. The guys are Norwegian, maybe they like hockey. Well, we have a great hockey team in South
Right.
Florida. So
Yeah, they're
all
okay.
those kinds of connections.
They're no Boston Bruins, but they're okay. Wow, that is really, really cool. I don't think I've ever thought of what the process
Right.
would be for that, but it's cool to get some more insight into that, right? Just wow, what a cool thing you're doing, right?
Who knew
It's a
that,
lot of
that it
fun.
even existed?
I'm sure there's a
Right.
lot of crap work to get it done, but
You always
it's-
know that there's that bigger picture and impact and,
Yeah.
and great results. So yes, there's a lot of quiet work that nobody sees and
Right.
frustrations along the way, like anybody else. But it's
and tears, I'm sure, some tears.
sure, yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun.
And does the
always.
university embrace it? Are they hungry for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We were created in part by the university for the purpose of supporting it and the local economy. So we have an incredibly close relationship with senior administration at the university all the way through down the departments and student leadership even, because of the ways that we can impact them and improve their quality of instruction and research. A lot of the metrics that a university is measured by include student engagement, the student experience, how often faculty are cited in research papers, how they are perceived by their peers around the country. So we are able to help them in that by bringing great companies for them to work with, interesting projects to delve into that helps them in their work. So yes, they embrace it
So it
completely.
really is win-win-win.
Yeah,
Right?
and I propose, right, you're telling us that when they come here, they're trying to figure out where their kids are going to go to school, what they should be doing, cultural stuff. They should all subscribe to the Digital Mayors podcast
should.
because
That's
this
what we
is
do.
exactly what we're doing, is highlighting South Florida, what's great about it, what
Right.
you need to do, who you need to know.
Right.
So,
What makes it the best place to live, work, play, give?
Absolutely. All of these resources that aren't necessarily ours are incredibly important because they're not
Right, because
ours,
they're
they're
not yours.
genuine, they're organic.
Right.
And to see those kinds of things do come up in searches that the companies do on their own, or certainly
Right.
when we can direct them to those searches. There are a number of organizations and publications that look at how companies arrive at the decisions they do for strategic locations and moves and so on. And word of mouth is always one or two.
Sure.
yeah.
And online searches as well, either one or two, in terms of looking at websites, but more importantly, cultural councils, chambers, stakeholders of those organizations, things that they can find easily that either detract from the message they're getting from us or add to it.
That's awesome.
That's cool. All right. So let me ask you this. So outside of work, right? We did talk a little bit about, you said that you had this opportunity through playing soccer, right? So outside of work, what hobbies, what interests do you have? Well, how do you occupy your time when you're not changing the environment and the economy? And
I enjoy reading a lot. I do a lot of reading. my wife and I think it's fair to describe us as homebodies. So we spend a lot of time with the kids, doing things with them for the kids.
Wait, your 16-year-old wants to spend time with you? What's the trick?
I was going to say, please share the secret.
Sometimes there's some arm twisting going on.
Yeah. Offering of food.
Sure, yeah. Bribes, yeah, that's a good way. Thankfully, I have two sons. That son is a massive sports fan, incredibly sophisticated in knowledge of soccer. I mean, he knows
Awesome.
everything about soccer. So we watch a lot of sports together. I've become an avid fan of Florida Atlantic basketball since the Final Four run. But now I watched the first game we had. In fact, I watched the exhibition game at home recently, and then the first game we had against Indiana State this week
Destroyed them.
was so exciting.
It was great, right?
It wasn't even
To
close.
see
They won by
Coach Jacobs.
33.
That was crazy.
It was a great game, great students, players. It's going to be a great season. So that, for me, really has become a passion.
That's cool. Do you go to the games?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we're season ticket holders
I
for
know.
men's and women's.
Yeah, we have been for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
Good for you. Thank you.
Absolutely love it.
Especially the women. I think this season will
They're
be a
amazing.
great season for them.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of building and adding in the off season.
Tough first game,
Yep.
Yeah.
but they played a big team too. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, I'm super excited. So I coach, I'm a board member at the YMCA in Boca Raton. I also play basketball there and coach basketball there, including all girls team. And yesterday, I just confirmed the day after Thanksgiving, I'm going to bring my team, and there's 2 girls teams in the league. Both teams, we're going to bring all their families. We're going to go to the day after Thanksgiving, the 2 p.m. game at FAU, the women's team. And not only are we going to get to go to the game, but the girls are going to get to go on the court at halftime and play a game
play a
in front of the crowd. So
Fantastic.
we're going to tell them this weekend. I am so excited about it. I think it's just the absolute coolest thing. And then after the game, they'll get to meet the players and get autographs. And
Fantastic.
I mean, I'm probably more excited.
I was
than
going to
they'll
say,
be,
I don't know who's more excited, him or the kids.
I love this stuff. I absolutely love it. It's such a cool experience and a great opportunity for them.
I'm a latecomer to college basketball, but I just love the atmosphere, the team, and the community. The fans are fantastic.
And
It's
personally,
great experience.
I never cared for college basketball. We grew up in Massachusetts, and college sports there is not really a thing, right? Because, I mean, there are lots of colleges and universities, but it's really the pro sports teams. And again, 4 or 5 years ago, I don't even remember how it happened, but we got an opportunity. And
I think I heard about it. I'm like, let's go check out a game. We went. I'm like, oh my God, this is Division I college basketball in a high school gym. This
It's a
is
small
really
arena,
cool.
right? It's like a 3,000 seat.
Yeah, it's a great environment.
And it's just so electric and fun, and you're this close to them.
Yeah.
And to be part, I feel like I'm part of it.
Absolutely.
We get the dap from Coach Sully every once in a while. Like it's just a super cool environment.
Really is.
Yeah. And you're talking about Boston not really watching college sports. I've always liked college basketball. For some reason, I was always drawn to Duke growing up. They always had like great sportsmanship and really good players, and I always liked watching them. But being down here in Florida, I'm like, all right, we gotta do this. And I'm so happy with the decision. And so I have two sons as well. My 16-year-old does not like sports at all. My 11-year-old is all basketball all day. Like, he's going to the NBA. That's his
what he's doing.
his dream, his goal, and it's such a cool bonding experience for the 3 of us. So the 3 of us go, and then we have 2 other tickets. We always bring a friend or a business partner or whatever it may be. But I look forward to that more than just about anything. Just going to sit with my guys and having a good time, having a disgusting pretzel and watching.
Can you do anything about that? Can they do anything about that in the research park?
I'm sure.
Please
we
come
do
up with a better
actually
pretzel.
have a company that does nutritional research on sugar.
Oh yeah.
So,
Because
applications of it
we
throughout the
make
diet.
the mistake every single game. We give.
Well,
that
you
pretzel
go,
a
you're
try.
hungry because everything else is like pretty bad. The pretzel's the best of the bad food, and it's like, just get something in there that's not terrible. It's not that hard. But anyways,
So let me ask. You said you're an avid reader. Fiction, nonfiction, comic. What kind of stuff do you read?
Both fiction and nonfiction. Right now, I'm coming to the end of a really interesting biography of Winston Churchill. I like to read. Never liked biographies growing up. My father always read biographies, and I never understood why, and now I do. And fiction. I really like John Grisham.
oh yeah,
Same.
Tom Clancy.
Yeah. James Patterson.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Balducci.
Oh, David.
bit-
Yeah, I
bit-
love to. Right?
Various,
It's sort of not mindless, but it's escape,
Yes,
right? It's
exactly,
exciting, it's
exactly,
thrilling, it keeps the brain active, but it also is a shutdown, right?
Right,
It's
right.
it's
Yeah,
mindless.
usually I alternate. So I've got a big tome of Churchill. When I'm done with that, I'll read something much lighter.
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, question for you. So if someone's coming from out of town, what's one experience that they have to have when they're here in South Florida?
I wanted to go back to sports, so I'm glad you asked that question. It really depends on the individual and what we can find out about them and what they like. For example, with Instrumentum, I found out very quickly, a lot of them are from Michigan, and they love hockey.
Right.
So, we
Down to the Panthers arena.
Panthers or
help
something.
them out with that. Others it's basketball, others it's fishing or restaurants. The thing is that in South Florida, we've got all of it.
Right.
And what I wanted to say about sports is that we are one of the very few areas of the country that has all 5 major league sports.
Right.
So
Isn't that cool?
if someone is interested in sports, any sport, we can get a major league game in front of them and have them back in their bed here that night. And they're all good teams.
Well,
right now.
that soccer team, is that guy any good on that soccer team?
Depends who you ask.
Well, I gotta,
Don't ask me.
I just
Don't
got to
ask
jump
me.
in on the sports real quick. So we're from Boston. I wouldn't say good teams. I'd say mediocre.
They're good teams.
We're the city of champions.
I would.
I'm just
The
messing
only
with
one I would maybe concede on is the Marlins. Everyone else, I think, has had really good
Yes.
seasons
yeah.
the last few years.
Well, the Marlins have had, up and down.
Right,
They've won a couple World Series,
quite a while ago now.
beat
but-
the Yankees, so that's
Right.
always good. Very, very cool. Yeah, so I think that's awesome. I mean, sports is something that brings the world together, right? I mean, I think that's
Well, sports
really cool.
and food.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got increasingly good food here in South Florida. The sports, we've got everything. You can do hiking in the Everglades. You
Right.
can do world-class fishing, world-class golf. I mean, tennis. We've got
Right.
great tennis. Everything's
Everything.
here.
Yeah.
Everything really is here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's so
yesterday,
accessible.
I drove by the Wakota-Hatchee Nature Preserve
I
on
love
Power
that.
Line
I
Road.
love
And It's
that.
just a little 1 mile elevated
Yep.
platform.
Look, gators, look,
Right.
birds, look,
alligators, turtles.
turtle. Like, it's
How
the
about this?
coolest thing.
Yesterday, when I was, it was right. Let's see, it was right after I drove by Wakota-Hatchee. I was heading north on Lyons Road or Power Line. I can't remember where I was.
Jog up there.
I saw a flamingo. I've never seen a
Really?
flamingo in nature. I've
Right.
seen them at the zoo. I've seen them at Lion Country Safari. But this giant pink bird flew.
Interesting.
I almost
Maybe it
crashed my
escaped
car.
from the zoo.
That is strange.
Yeah, I'd never.
Especially on its own.
Right,
Yeah.
and it was just one. Yeah, it was really interesting. So again, with food, I'm guessing that once in a while you have to go out with people to restaurants and that kind of thing. Is
There are
there?
hardships in every job.
It's terrible, right? Terrible. Is there? Do you have a favorite local restaurant?
No, I think here in Boca we have great restaurants, so you really can't go wrong.
Yeah.
What are a couple that you love?
Yeah.
I mean, for lunches, business lunches, I like Houston's. Max's Grill is really good. I think that some of the places over in Town Center are really good. We've got the Copperhead now. And Rocco's Tacos, you
Right.
can't go wrong. So there really are good options in town, and a lot more that I'm finding, to my shame, here in East Boca.
Right.
There's a lot of really good restaurants
Right.
over here.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
It does. Well, and it's crazy, but lately there've been so many that have closed down, unfortunately. But thankfully, there's still good ones, and I always get upset. Oh, I should have gone one more time. I didn't know.
But interestingly too, it's not just restaurants. Just the food here is great. I mean, think about the Marriott in Boca, right? That food is
oh my God,
absolutely
they blow us away
fantastic.
every time we go there.
When we go to an event,
And it's a hotel. Like
Right.
it's
right,
it's-
Chef Moises has been there for like 22 years, and the food is stunning. How about at the Boca Raton, right, where Ray Dolan oversees? I mean, there's a lot of great. I think I said I had the best polenta I've ever had in my life at an event. It was a buffet. And the guy at the buffet, he was mixing the polenta with like a beef ragu or something like that. But it wasn't like they didn't make one order of polenta.
Right.
right.
And it was
that's
the
very
best. Yeah.
difficult skill.
Amazing.
to
We're
do.
so fortunate.
How
to be
about
where we
at
are.
the Marriott, the honeycomb?
Oh, yeah.
Right. They have the honeycomb hanging down, and you literally just scrape off. I'm like,
if you like that kind of thing.
that place is unbelievable. So we know you're all about giving back to the community, obviously. So Are there any local organizations or causes that you personally support?
Yes, I'm on the board of directors, statewide board of directors for the Children's Home Society of Florida,
Okay.
which is for 122 years has been engaged in making sure that kids that are the victim of abuse or neglect are taken care of appropriately. So we've been involved in a lot of adoption, case management for kids in foster care and other supervised situations. More importantly, recently, we've been trying to change the paradigm to not having to take care of kids in trauma, but helping families make better decisions as they go through difficult situations so that families stay together. So there is less adoption. So we're trying to change adoption as we know it. And then, so that's the whole state of Florida. And here locally, another organization which was started by a professor at FAU, Champions for Champions is a local Boca organization that helps kids, students who have gone through those situations but have now made a success of themselves and are in college. So we're supporting them as they go through that journey and age out of the care of the state and those resources into becoming independent adults.
That's really cool. And by the way, two that I've never heard of.
Right,
That's
same.
what's so cool about South Florida, because we talk to nonprofits and these places all the time. I've never heard of either of them, but now I'm going to go look
Right.
because for me, the reason why I'm so involved with the YMCA is for the children. I fight and I raise money to make sure that no matter what's going on in a child's home life, that their YMCA life will never change, that they can go there and play sports, learn how to swim, aftercare camp. I mean, last summer, we had 22 foster children go to camp for the entire summer, and it didn't cost them a penny. And I just think
Great.
like that could
That's
literally change their lives,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's awesome. I love what you're doing. Very cool.
Right. And so let me ask you this. I mean, right, you know lots of people locally. You're involved, obviously, clearly. Are there other organizations? You know, listen, something that you think deserves more light, deserves more awareness? Is there something that, I mean, right, I know there's so many things to choose from, but something that you're like, okay, hey, listen, more people need to know about this. And by the way, it doesn't need to be a nonprofit organization. It could be a mom and pop store or restaurant or whatever it is, something that you would say is kind of a gem of South Florida that more people should know about.
So I would say that those two organizations that I mentioned, because I do think that we as a society have a responsibility to care for kids that through no fault of their own need help.
Yeah.
So those two are very important and close to my heart, but there are others that work in the same space that are doing great work. It might not sound like a hidden gem to us, but I think that Florida Atlantic University deserves more attention from the wider community because of the life-changing opportunities that it gives to students.
Right.
40% of the student population at FAU receive Pell Grants or are eligible for Pell Grants and come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds.
That's awesome.
And they graduate at the same rate as the other 60% who don't need those resources with a lower debt burden than they would at another school.
Right.
So they are graduating
huge.
along with their
Yeah,
peers,
that's
and
amazing.
they are expected through the studies that the university has done to increase 2 rungs of the socioeconomic ladder by that fact alone.
Amazing.
So it's the most diverse school in the state system. It is increasing in the rankings every year through solid work, making sure that students have what they need to graduate successfully. So this last year, U.S. News and World Report ranked the university 103 of all public schools in the United States, and there are more than 3,000.
Wow.
So hopefully next year we'll be in the top 100. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, this is little old Florida Atlantic, that is only 60 years old, now in the top 100 best schools in the United States.
That's
and
amazing.
It's only
And listen,
going up.
right, and it just keeps it going because the higher rank it gets, the more people that come, the more impact that it has on our community.
And it's happening. This last year, they welcomed their biggest incoming freshman class of 4,400 students with the highest GPA they've ever had at 3.98.
Amazing.
Wow.
And they are now a selective school. They had 47,000 applications for those 4,400 spots.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's
There are kids-
amazing.
Right.
So cool. So cool. By the way, I love my children. I don't want them to ever leave me. So since they've been infants, I've told them that FAU is the best school on the planet.
And they're proving it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
See, it's all me.
Really
I put that into existence. I mean, I think that is so cool. So let me ask you this. Obviously, you're out there, you're talking to people, you know a lot of people around town. Who are a couple local movers and shakers who you think that we should talk to? Who should
Right.
the
Get some more
people-
exposure.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think that there the couple of people in my field, Shane Osterwitz at 1909, which currently is based in West Palm, is doing great work for early stage startups across the county, but their hub is in West Palm. She's now also getting into second stage assistance and resources, but her remit is not so specific as ours in just technology, so she's wider, and she's looking to do more here in Boca. And then Nikki Cabus from the South Florida Tech Hub has done a great job in making that organization really be a central resource for anyone in the tech industry, whether you're looking for a job, looking to do joint projects, looking to develop a new technology. South Florida Tech Hub is the organization to know about. But there are
tons of
plenty
people.
of people I should
Yeah.
be mentioning that I can't think of on the top
they
of my
won't hold
head,
it
but
against you. But Shayna and Nikki, we
Right.
got to talk.
Yeah, we'll.
Absolutely.
We got to talk.
We'll
Absolutely.
reach out and figure about getting them on. And so, anything else on your front burner that you're excited about that's going on at the park or going on at the university or locally that you're just excited about?
Yes, although there's the thing I'm most excited about, I can't talk about probably until February, March.
That's cool too.
Let's cover our
It's-
ears. Hold on.
it's
Nobody
very-
listens.
It's very, very cool in the park. So stay tuned for that. We'll try to make a big deal of that. Next year is the Research Park's 40th anniversary.
Wow.
So we're going to try to make a big deal of that. It's 40 years of making an impact in this community, and we're now planning for what the next 40 years will look like.
So cool.
Anyone who's interested in helping us shape that picture, we'll be doing strategic planning on November 20th in the Research Park. It's an open meeting, so
that's
anyone's
awesome.
welcome to come and give their opinions.
That's very cool.
I love that. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
That's super cool. So listen, I think we've probably taken enough of the man's time. He's going to go back to the university and helping shape the economy and the community and the world here. So Andrew, thank you so much for
you.
sharing your insights, your passion for South Florida and for South Florida's growth. Right. I mean, it's really selfishly, right?
Yeah.
Because you want your community to be a better place. I definitely get that. We are for sure grateful for everything you're doing at the research park and the university, and it's amazing to know that such impactful work is happening right up the street.
In our backyard. I mean, it's so freaking cool. So cool. Thank you so much for it. And to everyone listening, please be sure to check out the full episode on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to leave us a 5-star review because our producer Ben tells us we have to. So,
to.
Please, we need 5-star reviews.
He hits us.
Yes.
He's terrible like that. And as always, tag a friend who needs to hear this because, I mean, listen, there are people out there who need to connect with Andrew and the research park and the work that they do. Let us know in the comments if there's another South Florida gem, somebody that you think we should be talking to and that we should feature on our podcast. And let's just go out and make South Florida a better place to be.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being here, Andrew.
Thank you so much for being
really
here.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man,
Thank you.
A pleasure.
take
Thank
care.
you. There we go. Easy enough, right?
Very good.
Thank you. You're awesome.